Okay, so welcome back to the channel. We've had a little bit of a break. It's been a very difficult month for us all here. But we are back, and we're back with our first episode of the JMFC Podcast. And tonight I'm joined by my dad.
Hello.
So, hello, Dad. Now tonight we're going to be touching on the tour that Manchester United have been away on in Australia and Singapore. There's a little bit more of the tour to go. And hopefully if we get a little bit of time, we'll briefly touch on transfers towards the end. So, Dad, obviously we've been to Perth and Singapore now. 3 games so far, 3 wins, 7 goals scored, none conceded. And Ollie looks like he's implementing this high-press, counter-attacking style of play quite nicely. Certainly, we're in a much better position as opposed to last pre-season. What do you think?
I agree. He's taken us back, in my opinion, to how we were when he took over as interim manager. Mixing a few young ones in with that to give it a bit more pace. So all good. Looking at it as a tour, we'd be happy with that right now.
You mentioned the young players and the likes of Greenwood, Mccormack, Garner, just to name a few, have stepped into the team, done very well. Greenwood most notably. Why do you think that is?
A lot of it's belief. Obviously the ability of the players. He's picking players that are kind of knocking on the door to be chosen now, which any academy is going to produce some of those, otherwise there's no point in it being there, of course. But Ollie's got the confidence in these guys to bring them in, and it's a good opportunity now to do it. I like the way they're fitting in, and I also like the way that there's a bit of confidence about them.
I think with young players as well, they're kind of like a clean canvas in the sense that Ollie can look to the youth academy and say, right, who's ready to come through? And say, right, so and so's ready. Okay, I'll bring him with me. And he can put them in the team and go, right, I want you to play this way, and they'll do it because they've got no other philosophy or strategy sort of ingrained in their mind. You take someone that's more seasoned, like a Chris Smalling or an Nemanja Matic, who've got, say, 4 or 5 managers' philosophies in their mind, they're going to have to adapt to another new style, and it's essentially a case of teaching an old dog new tricks.
I agree, yeah, and sometimes they almost deliberately won't want to play for you like that because they think they know better. Whereby the guys coming through, you'd like to think they've been trained the Manchester United way about how our coaches want the club to sort of play and move around the pitch right now. So they're younger, they'll take that in, and they want to impress, they want to be there, they want to play for the biggest club in the world. So they are going to be doing what their coaches are telling them to do and instructing them to do.
Obviously, we've said off camera before as well how I talk a lot about overreactionary fans thinking that we're going to bring all these young players through, we're going to win everything, this, that, the other. And I feel like part of what Alan Hansen said back in 1999 about you can't win anything with kids is true to an extent, because this lot are not going to come through and win the Premier League and Champions League in 12 months, 24 months time. Because on the other side of the fence, we're still sat here saying we need to rebuild by bringing in 5, 6 new players. That's just going to completely clog the squad. You can't hoard players, can you?
No, you can't hoard players, and a very distinct difference at the time when the class of '92 came through was the players that were around them.
Was it the class? Did I get the year wrong?
Yes.
Brilliant research on my part.
They had very good players around them, but they had a lot of level heads as well. They don't have that, these guys.
The reason I probably said 1999 was because it's stuck in my mind how when he says that, when Hansen says you can't win anything with the kids, they're about to do trouble. That's probably why I said that.
Not that season. So
just 7 years apart.
Just 7 years apart. So what you have to think of is what was around them at the time. That's the key factor to this. So it's great to bring these young players through. I'm a huge fan of it, and seen some great ones in my time watching Manchester United. They're only going to come through with the players around them. You can't train experience, so you've got to have the confidence to put them in the team. They need to be mentored. The moment they're on that pitch, forget the coaches, their job's done.
Would you remember the likes of Cleverley and Anderson were in the side, and they looked brilliant because they had experience and winners around them, so they looked like world-beaters. Guardiola did it last season. He could put the likes of Zinchenko and Delva at left back, and they'll look brilliant. But the moment you start putting, say, your Cleverleys and Andersons amongst Cleverleys and Andersons, that's where there's a problem.
Goes horribly wrong. Or you put them amongst players that doing that.
Coming back to the tour now, obviously we're trying to implement this high press counter-attacking style of play. It's looking quite good so far. What I noticed in particular is that our press is very much man-orientated, where we sort of mark the opposition players and force them into errors, and that's where a lot of our goals are coming from. Do you think that's the sort of approach we'll take against, well, I don't want to say our general approach this season, but against sort of teams that are inferior to us?
So it's a good question. It's one that's a little bit difficult to answer for me because I'm not sure about the teams that are a little bit inferior to us. I think at the moment, and it pains me to say it, you've got to go quite the way down the Premier League to find these teams that are so inferior to us right now. Picture us in with Leicester, Wolves, Watford even. Everton. You know, there's some really difficult teams for us to beat there. And, you know, you really got to have some planning around doing that. This high press, fast system won't work as efficiently against those kind of clubs. You know, it's looking impressive on tour. I'm not critical of it, but you just need a bit of homework.
I feel like the calibre of opponent is pretty similar though. You know, Inter Milan are certainly no slouches, and we dominated that game the other day and arguably deserved to win more than 1-0.
Yeah, but you've got that kind of dreadful flip side to a pre-season friendly. You know, no one wants to get injured. No one's really going to stretch their muscle. You know, the last thing you want one of your senior players to do is pull a hamstring right now. You know, and we don't really want that given that first game.
Couldn't really have a much bigger game to start off, could we, Chelsea?
Not really. Only really Manchester City, and you know that's not happened. So it's one we have to win though. You know, and I don't like to say it.
Is it a win or get points on the board?
I think it's a must win. You know, it's a tough game for us. It's probably one of our toughest first openers now for quite some time that I can remember. And I think to kick off and again, you know, dreadful to say it, but to have this fourth place challenge thing going on, you have to win that.
I think we do have to sit here and be a little bit more realistic though. We aren't going to challenge for the title this season, and we've spoken a lot off camera about why we really petered out last season, and I think that's primarily down to fitness, you know, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came into this team back in December and tried to implement this fast counter-attacking style that's very far on the pitch and getting into the defenders' faces, leading the press from the front, so to speak. And you're not going to turn this side on its head over the course of one season. You know, we've seen Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp when he first came in. He took them from 8th to 8th. You know, Guardiola struggled in his first season with Manchester City, only finishing 4th, I believe. Mauricio Pochettino has taken him 5 years for Spurs to mount a serious challenge for a trophy. You know, obviously got to that Champions League final last season. These things don't happen overnight. And that's where I feel like fans, and in particular our board, can be very impatient.
It's interesting you say our board can be very impatient. These things don't happen overnight. You know, we are now at year 6 from the last time we were champions, from the Ferguson regime there.
But you've got to think, how many times have we ripped up the plan in that 6 years? You know, we brought in David Moyes, ripped up the plan after 9 months. Van Gaal was gone after 2 years. Mourinho after 2.5.
Oh, we could still. I think if we search deeper, we could probably still field a Ferguson back 5. 6 years on.
Potentially.
I think we could possibly do that.
De Gea, Young, Jones, Smalling. I know Valencia's gone now, but more or less, yeah.
So bar one player, then we could still have a Ferguson back 5, which is dreadful. You know, 6 years on, and you know, without sort of going into that conversation. No, I agree. It is difficult, but you know, you've still got to say we are Manchester United bringing in successful managers. You know, are we going to rue the departure of Mourinho? You know, that's a conversation maybe for a different podcast. I don't know.
I personally do think, as shocked as I was at the time, I think it was the right time for him to go, because you bring him in, you bring in Mourinho as that final piece of the jigsaw that he's going to win you trophies, and you have to sacrifice things like young players, you have to sacrifice an aesthetically pleasing style of play. And more often than not, when he leaves a club, he leaves in absolute tatters with players that are worn out. And certainly in our case, he's left us with worn-out players who fit 3 or 4 managers' styles of play. So it wasn't utter shambles that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had to take over.
It was, and he did well to start with. And your main question to me was about the fitness of the players in this high press system. Players at Manchester United, whether it's Jose Mourinho as the lethargic boss or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as the high press boss, even if you put an average fitness between the two, they should still be fitter than most.
It's not to say that one's right and one's wrong, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's style certainly requires a different type of level as opposed to Jose Mourinho's. You're not going to go from there to there in the space of 6 months.
No, you're not.
And I feel like that amazing run we went on sort of misled the fans, myself to be fair included at the time.
Yeah. I think the amazing run that we went on started to fall at the hurdles for many, many reasons. I think the situation at Manchester United is a lot more complex than the average fan is aware of. The whole Pogba situation is really much more complex in my opinion. The sponsors are having a say in that, for sure. You let him go, there is not really a kind of key world-class, allegedly, player at Manchester United.
On that note, we'll come on to transfers now and how this squad is going to shape up for the start of the season against Chelsea. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he wanted his business done by July the 1st, before we flew out for pre-season. That always looked as though it was going to be a bit ambitious, wasn't it?
I think hugely ambitious, to be honest, and a little bit naive from the manager, which I hope he doesn't mind me saying, because you don't know what goes on with these deals.
He's probably not subscribed to Jose Mccormack FC.
Well, you never know. Deals are very complex. Legal teams involved on both sides, sell-on fees, all these things that we read about in the paper, they take a long, long time to go through, and they have to be really watertight as well.
A lot of fans fall into the trap of thinking it's like a FIFA transfer or a football manager transfer. You don't just put a bid in and Bob Junker have accepted it, go and talk to the player. It's not as simple as that, is it?
No, it isn't as simple as that, and you don't want it to be as simple as that. And the deal even with Zaha at Crystal Palace and Arsenal, we stand to gain a quarter of a fee from that. So, there was obviously negotiations with him going back.
Well, with our Wan-Bissaka deal, that took 4 months to complete. Because I had insiders, I knew that we were in for Wan-Bissaka back in March.
Yeah, and it wasn't a case of let's just do this deal for heaven's sake. You can't do that. The legal teams are just making sure it's right for both clubs, and then when they do believe it's right, there'll be an independent that looks at that just to make sure it is right.
And of course, Wan-Bissaka was away with the under 21s.
Wan-Bissaka himself was away. I mean, he can sign or he can fly into places and stuff like that. That's the easy bit. But it's the actual structure of the deal itself. They are very complex.
Well, you were saying off camera, weren't you, about all these instalments that have got to happen now?
Yeah, absolutely. There's things about transfer. Do we pay £80 million to Leicester City up front? Of course we don't. That doesn't work like that.
Well, there was apparently, according to multiple reports, if they are to be believed, that there was initially a 60 million bid with 20 million in add-ons for Maguire.
Yeah, and it will be something like that.
With the Arsenal and Zaha deal, as much as we laugh at it, they offered 40 million and wanted to pay that over 5 years.
Yeah. But we got to think with Crystal Palace, anything they sell Zaha for, they pay us 25%. So for them asking 80 million, really,
it's not actually. You can understand it from their sense once you look into all the logistics of it.
Absolutely that. Yeah, they're giving 20 million away. So really, they're getting 60 million for him. He's not a £60 million player, but that's a different conversation. But that's the nature of the deal, because they have to be. The club is saying they've done this deal with us. What about if he does become a superstar? What about if Harry Maguire becomes the best defender in the world?
Let's touch on Harry Maguire then. Obviously, it's well documented. Probably not very well analysed, to be fair, that we're in for him. The reason that I say it's not very well analysed is because people look at Harry Maguire and think, oh, he's good meme material, wait, he's going for 80 million and will go down in hysterics. I don't think, people often fall into this trap of, oh, Delete's going for 67, Maguire should be going for 80, but a player's valuation doesn't depend on what someone else goes for. And Harry Maguire is no worse than Virgil van Dijk when he moved to Liverpool. And they were of the same age. I believe Virgil van Dijk was 26. Maguire's 26 now.
I completely agree with you. And it was going to Liverpool that gave Van Dijk the self-confidence, that gave him the profile, that gave him that ability to take his game to the next level. Working with a great obviously, but working with better players around him as well. Harry Maguire will find exactly the same.
Harry Maguire is a leader in that Leicester side, no mistake about it. And we don't have that figure of authority at the back. You know, you can go and scout players for technical attributes and whatnot, but it's so hard to go out there and find a leader, a character who is good enough to step into that back four, can walk into the dressing room to Jones and Smalling and go, just get out, because I'm here now.
You can't train leadership.
You can't.
Contrary to what anybody might tell you, be it in the football world, be it in the business world, you cannot train leadership. Leaders are born, and that's a fact.
There was a little snippet going around that suggests that Harry Maguire's family may well be Manchester United fans. I know he's Sheffield born. I don't know if he was a Manchester United fan himself, but certainly from being from the north of England, he'll understand Manchester United and the heritage and the structure of the club.
I like to think so. If he does that, will be great. But what I would like to think most of all, that he's a professional footballer, and if at this time in his career Manchester United are paying his wages, then he plays his game accordingly.
On the field as well, we've often seen Lindelof and Smalling partner together. Chris Smalling couldn't pass the ball to save his life. Lindelof can distribute, but when you've got only one that can distribute, other teams will look at Smalling and go, well, you're useless on the ball, we're going to target you. We'll target Lindelof, and because we know that Smalling's liable on the ball, so it makes the job for the opposition a lot easier. If you've got two ball playing centre halves, they can't pick and choose their targets, and the likes of Harry Maguire or Lindelof, because they're both more than capable of it, can step into midfield, which will draw opposition midfielders out, making the space for our own midfielders. And it's just, it seems crazy to think, but fixing the back line to make it more capable of distributing the ball can really benefit our build-up play and our attack.
I agree with that. I'm not the sort of biggest fan, as you well know, of this modern tendency to want to build from the back, and I'll challenge the definition of that. What's more important is having the confidence of those back two, because if you look at Liverpool the moment they did that, what they also had in their armoury was two very high-performing fullbacks. So if you're trying to play against Liverpool, you've now got Van Dijk and his partner there. You're not really coming through there the way they're playing. So then you're going to go and try and bring them down the channels. Yeah, you're not going through there either because the way the two fullbacks are playing. So really, no surprise to me, Liverpool don't concede many goals. Once they firm that up behind those four with a decent goalkeeper, no disrespect to Mignolet, but someone who can actually save the ball.
I think you're forgetting about the Golden Glove winner, Alisson.
So, very strong.
You may have forgotten about Alisson.
Very strong.
Very strong. Finally, let's touch on the man we love to hate, the man we hate to love, Paul Pogba. Obviously, that midfield needs a complete restructure, regardless of whether Paul Pogba leaves or not. What do we do there? What's the situation with Pogba, and who do we bring in midfield?
I said about complex transfers, Paul Pogba. As complex as the individual is, his transfer is complex as well. His sponsors are having a say in that. Manchester United are listening to the sponsors. Massive revenue for the club. Massive dictation as to shirt sales, where they go on tour, even that type of thing. These players command that. I think we've got to learn a lesson from that on this occasion. Let's just forget the abilities of the footballer, but let's not title our merchandising into one player either.
I think
get rid of
we're standing firm on our
needs to go, is my answer to your question.
I think, yeah, I would agree, it does need to go, but like we've said, it's a lot more difficult than it may seem. We're standing firm on our valuation, which is, if you believe the reports, about £150 million. Now, I would sell Paul Pogba for that, and all being well, you can use that money to address the midfield, to restructure it, or to address other issues like potentially our striker issue, but that's a conversation for another time. And I want to say we're going to do what Liverpool did. They sold Coutinho for a ridiculous fee, fixed the back, fixed the goalkeeper, and they were a much better unit going forward as a team. But I don't have the confidence in the Glazers or the board in general to do that, because if you remember in 2009, we sold Cristiano Ronaldo for a then world record fee, and to replace him, we brought in Gabby Overton, Antonio Valencia, and Michael Owen.
We did, and it didn't quite replace him, as we know. However, we did carry on to win the Premier League and other trophies after that. So we didn't exactly capitulate after selling Cristiano Ronaldo. I personally would sell Paul Pogba for 60 million. I would totally devalue the player because that's all he deserves. You would do the purchaser a real big favour in that.
I don't think no. Paul Pogba, if he wasn't as for all his attitude problems, Paul Pogba, if he wasn't at Manchester United, I can guarantee you now would be regarded as probably top 3, maybe even the best midfielder in the world. He put up more goals and assists than any other midfielder last season, and I know there's more to football than just that. But off the base of those 2 stats alone, you're looking to transcend 100 million for me. I don't understand where you've got 60 from, quite frankly. Because then you're making a 20 million loss.
You touched on things that I would do it to just bring the player down to the level he's at. His head is far too big. He reads his own press, he enjoys his own press, he creates his own press. He was one of the main reasons Jose Mourinho lost his job. Jose Mourinho will always be a better manager than Paul Pogba will ever be a better player. He would, if he stayed, be the reason Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would lose his job.
I think we'll end on that note, because if there was anyone to comment, that would make a very interesting cliffhanger. But we are going to end that there for the night. Thank you for joining me, Dad. And hopefully we'll get the channel back on its feet soon. I recorded a Aaron Wan-Bissaka video. Hopefully I'll edit that and get that out. Obviously we've missed quite a few weeks of the weekly round now. We'll see if I can get a few more episodes in before the end of the window. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.